Good morning. I was gonna say, hang on, what was it? Oh, you know that song, It's Me. I I'm the problem, it's me. I was gonna sing that. I was like, I should sing that as soon as I go live. Um, because I feel like every time I go live and I tell you, things that I go through, the problem's always me. Like we think the problem is our spouse or our friend or something, but the problem ends up being me. And I feel like when you figure out the problem is you, what that means is not necessarily you cause the problem, but it means that you're searching for ways to better yourself. So you're searching how to react to these negative people or these, like if your spouse has some type of, I don't know, anger issue, you learn how to deal with his issues because you can't change him. So the problem is me because I'm letting it destroy me. So that's why I say, it's me. Is it me? Hi. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Because it is. The problem is me. Because oh my gosh, I am dying. The school, hang on, I'm gonna show y'all. So a month ago, um, this school has done incubation projects with me the past 3 years. And the school is from my hometown. And there's 3 different classes, and they're all STEM classes. And so I always give them eggs to incubate so that the kids can learn the life cycle of a chick. Well, this time she said, Judy, do you have any eggs other than last year we did ducks? And so this year, she's like, do you have anything else? Well, I had goose eggs. So they have hatched some goose. Listen, look, this is the kids. Doesn't that make you happy? That cracks me up how dark that I mean, you would think that when this goose, because this is a goose, when it grows older, it wouldn't be solid white, right? Like that's so confusing to me. But this shows you how a baby chick looks totally different from a grown hen or a grown rooster or a grown goose. Like I would think that goose would be black and white, right? But no, it'll be solid white. The hens, people say, Judy, how do you know whether it's a goose or a gander from birth? You know, because of the color. A gander would be solid yellow. Now, I've not seen one this dark before. As a matter of fact, my little mentor, she was like, wow, that one's really dark. Because if you remember, Miracle Miles she was not that dark. I mean, she did have some dark on her, but she wasn't that dark. But anyway, that's cool. Okay, I decided I'm gonna check in with you guys. You know, when I am in group therapy, we go around the room and we check in. How are you feeling spiritually? How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you, kind of just to check in. And the past 2 days, Shane has been sick. Like, and when Shane is sick, like, it's usually bad because he usually doesn't complain. And he has had all this like congestion and he just hasn't felt good. And I'm going to talk about Toyota in a minute. But we went to get Larry's car yesterday. And when we got back, he said, Judy, I have got to go to the ER care, whatever it's called. American Family Care is what we call it. But he's like, I have to go. And so I said, well, I'll go with you because I've got to get feed. So he goes into American Family Care. I'm sitting in the car. And the more I sit there, the sicker I'm feeling. Okay. Over the past 2 years, I keep having ear infections. I don't know how long you've been following me, but probably 2 years ago, um, I was live and I had a double ear infection and I had allergy testing done. And they tested me for every single animal on my farm. And I was so afraid that I was allergic to the rabbits. Okay. And so I was talking about, what am I going to do if I'm allergic to the rabbits? Because I'm not going to be able to keep them. What am I going to do? I've had Fluffy May 5 years. And so I remember I was really stressed out about the results and what was I going to do and so forth. And the results came back and I had no allergies to any of my animals. So that was not what was causing my ear infections. Well, time has gone on and they put me on Singulair. Well, it didn't stop the ear infections. It did not. And it got to the point where I quit going to the specialist because she kept telling me, like, you're not allergic to anything. I don't see anything wrong. And I'm like, obviously there's something wrong. I keep getting double ear infections. So they're happening again. And what happens is I have no pain. I am in no pain at all with my ears. I just feel like they're clogged up. And then I feel like I have nothing in my head. I feel like space headed and I feel a little off balance and dizzy. And that's what prompts me to the doctor, because I feel sick at my stomach because it's like my equilibrium is not right. So recently I go back to the ENT because I'm still having ear infections. And so I went back to the ENT a couple of weeks ago, I guess, maybe a month ago. And he did a test to see if there were fluid in my inner ear. And he said, Judy, there's nothing wrong with your ears. And I'm like, this is driving me nuts. I said, what is wrong with me? And he said, I think we need to do a MRI of your head. He said, I think you're having migraines. And I'm like, my head doesn't hurt. Like, how do you have migraines and your head doesn't hurt? He said, Judy, there are a million different types of migraines. I really think you're having migraines. And so I left there and he said, I want you to take Flonase every single day. And so I was sticking the crap up my nose, taking Flonase every day, and it wasn't getting better. So then I called the doctor's office back and I said, I'm not getting any better. And they were like, he wants to try you on Singulair, because you know how the insurance company makes you try A, B, and C before you have an MRI. So they said, I want to try you on Singulair again. So I've been taking Singulair. I'm not getting any better. I'm not. So when I was sitting in the past 2 days, I felt it coming on. I was like, here we go again. And it kind of comes and goes. Like, it'll be bad, 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 and then I get better. And then it's bad, bad, bad. So I don't really always go to the doctor because it seems to clear up. And so this particular time, I am drunk. I feel like I'm on a 3-day drunk. I'm just like, my head feels like there's nothing in it. I'm dizzy. I feel sick. And so when we were sitting at American Family Care with Shane, I said, you know what? I'm here. I'm waiting. I might as well be seen and see if it's my ears, because I am feeling terrible. So I go in and I make an appointment. And Shane was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm just going to go ahead and get seen. I don't feel good. So I have a double ear infection. And I have fluid all over under my ears and my eardrum. And I said, what is causing this? And he said, now this is not my ENT. I said, my ENT is telling me it's not my ears. He said, Judy, it is 100% your ears. I said, I know, I keep telling him that. And he's telling me it's not my ears. And he said, it could be an allergy that we're not catching, but it could be something that I can't see. So I think what I want you to do is I want you to go to another ENT. So they have referred me to another ENT and they're supposed to call me with an appointment. So I got a steroid shot yesterday. I got a steroid pack yesterday. Steroids and Judy Sneed are not good friends. I've been up all night because they keep me awake. But I feel 100% better from the steroids. And I started an antibiotic. So hopefully this will get better soon. But the bad thing is, the good thing is, I'm not in any pain. It's not like an ear infection where you're in pain. It's just causing my equilibrium to be off and my ears are clogged up. I don't hear well. So I have been doing that. Shane he is at work today, but he is feeling a little better, but he ain't good. He's terrible. He's on an antibiotic. He has some type of sinus something going on. He doesn't have flu or COVID, so that's good. So physically, Shane and I have been on the struggle bus. Okay. Let's get this party started. Mentally, how do I feel mentally? I almost feel relieved that the Toyota stuff is over. So mentally, I feel pretty good. Mentally, I feel good. Emotionally, I'm fine. I'm not like a train wreck emotionally. Spiritually, I'm on the struggle bus spiritually, but we'll talk about that another day. So that's my check-in. Taking glasses off. I have no idea where Chris is. Chris did not show up this morning. So I don't know if he's sleeping in or maybe he's sick. I'm not sure. All right. I can't even remember where I left off with Toyota with y'all. Okay. If I repeat myself, sorry. So I sent a cashier's check. They asked me to pay this amount, put the account number on it, overnight it, send this much money. I went to the bank. I got a cashier's check. I wrote the account number on it. I overnighted it. I made them get a signature card and they received the check. So they text my lawyer and said, we received her check, but we can't send the car until the check clears the bank. Understandable. So the check clears okay, I paid the car off March 11th. March 11th is when I paid the car off. Okay. So it's been a minute. Okay. Once the check cleared the bank, Toyota come back and said, we're not giving her the car until she signs that she won't sue us. Why didn't you tell me that before I sent the check? Like we could have done, because I probably wouldn't have sent the check if you weren't going to send me the car back. But now you're like adding things. You're telling me to do this thing. I do it. And now you're adding more that you want me to do. Like, why didn't you present that all up front? But this is the neglect of the communication at Southeast Toyota. So I said, I'm not signing anything. I don't even know what the car looks like. I'm not signing anything. So I said, send me pictures of the car. Well, they send me pictures of the car, and the first pictures of them repossessing the car, and the car sitting in the gas station parking lot, and it's fine. Then they send me pictures of the car sitting in the repossession lot. It's fine. Then they send me pictures of the car in the assembly. Oh, I forgot to back that up. When they repossessed the car, they gave me a total of 3 days to handle this, or they were sending the car to the auction. 3 days. So I had to run and hire a lawyer quick. So they sent the third pictures of the car in Georgia in the auction. The car's in the auction. Well, in the pictures, they disclosed the damage that was on the car, and they sent pictures of the damage. Well, in the pictures, there's paint missing on the car, and in the description, it says it'll cost this much money to fix, this many hours to fix, because they were going to have to repaint the car. So when I saw that and the lawyers saw that, we were like, oh, Lord, the car's been damaged. Does this get any worse? So my lawyer sent a message to their lawyer and said, well, it appears that the car has been damaged and the car was not like this when it left her house. So then I had to go pull my security cameras to show that the car was not damaged when it left my house. So the lawyer sent the pictures to Toyota. Toyota responded and said, the paint is not missing. That is normal wear and tear on a car. It's the glare from the camera. The paint is not missing. And they're not sending the car until I sign the paperwork that I will not sue them. And I told my lawyer, I would be a fool to sign paperwork that I'm not going to sue them without looking at the car physically. They've had a paid off car for a month. This car has literally been, I had the title to the car, have had the title to the car. I've paid it off. It's cleared the bank. They got the check, but they're going to put these stipulations on me. So I said, send me my money back. I'm not signing anything. Let's just draw. I will sign the paperwork that I will not sue. Send me the money back. You take the car. If you get $5,000 for the car, Larry does not owe the difference in what you sell it for and what he owes. And we will be done with this. Just drop it. Well, they refused to send my money back. So I told my lawyer, I said, I guess we're going to have to sue. I don't know what else to do. But I'm not signing anything without physically seeing the car. So everything has been sitting in silence. Nobody, I'm sitting here with, I'll just tell you, $22,000 they got. I'm sitting here, checks been cashed a month ago. I have no vehicle. And it's like, I'm not getting a call from my lawyer. Nothing's happening. And I'm getting beyond frustrated at this point. I have a lot of patience. I'm not one to get mad quickly, even though I have red hair. So at this point, I'm starting to lose it. So my lawyer calls their lawyer and they said, the car has been sitting. We have transported the car back to Birmingham. The car has been sitting in the repossession lot since April the 14th. Well, are we supposed to just know this? Because you haven't communicated with us to tell us the car is even in Birmingham. The last we heard, you weren't going to send the car to Birmingham until I signed the paperwork that I was not going to sue you. So how are we? And in the meantime, Toyota's having to pay like $125 a day for the car sitting on the lot. But no one has communicated with us to tell us that the car's in Birmingham. So I said, oh, okay, well, I'll call. And my lawyer said, they said you have to set up an appointment to come get the car. So they give me the phone number. I call the repossession lot to make an appointment. And they were like, ma'am, your car is not here. Your car was sent to auction on March the 3rd. You've got to be flipping kidding me. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. So I hung up the phone and I decided, because you have to book an appointment online to get your car. So I decided to go try to book an appointment for the car to see if the car pulled up. And it did. So I made an appointment to go get the car Monday at 9:30. Well, I wasn't driving all the way to Birmingham without having my ducks in a row. You know, I wasn't going to say, Shane, take off work and we're all going to Birmingham to get this car. So I called back again after I made the appointment. And I said, hey, it allowed me to make an appointment and it says the car is there. No, ma'am, the car is not here. The car was sent to auction on March the 3rd. I called my lawyer and I said, I don't know what to do. They're saying the car's not there. I said, I can't go pick up a car that's not there. And then Toyota starts, I feel like it was a threat, personally. Maybe it wasn't a threat. Maybe that's just how suing goes. But they were like, if you don't pick up this car by April the 30th, you're going to have to start paying the lot fees, which is $125 a day. Dude, I'd pick up the car if the car was there, but they're telling me it's not there. I'm not driving all the way to Birmingham when they're telling me the car's not there. That would be dumb for Shane to take off work and us drive an hour and 15 minutes one way and the car not be there. So the lawyer called their lawyer and said, they're telling her the car is not there. Their lawyer says, the car is there. Let me give her a name and a number of someone to call. That was on Friday morning. Friday after, and Shane was off work Friday, so we could have gone and got the car Friday. My lawyer's not calling. I'm not receiving any name of someone to call. So we couldn't go get the car. Okay, keep in mind, Sunday was Sunday was April the 27th. So we had 2 days to pick up this car. They're going to charge us for lot fees. How are we supposed to pick up the car when they're telling us it's not there? Like, what are we supposed to do? So Monday morning rolled around and Shane was like, what are we going to do? I said, I have no idea. Because, you know, lawyers stay in court. They can't just call you. I mean, my lawyer's not doing anything wrong. She hasn't heard from Toyota. So she's not going to just call me because she hasn't heard anything. So Shane called me Monday afternoon and he was like, Judy, I'm taking off work Tuesday and we're going to show up at the repossession lot. I said, okay. So I sent my lawyer a note. She doesn't call me back Monday. So Tuesday morning comes and I'm like, let me back up. Monday, I called the lot again. And I told them what was going on. And the lady that I talked to said, yes, the car is here. But you can't pick it up. Larry Glasscock has to pick it up. I said, dude, my dad's on hospice. My dad is on oxygen. My dad can't walk hardly. For me to get him to Birmingham is an ordeal. I said, I have power of attorney and I can sign for him. No, ma'am. He has to come. I said, Shane, this is the craziest story ever. What are we going to do? He goes, we're going to load Larry Glasscock up in the car and we're taking him to Birmingham. So Tuesday morning, I told Larry, I said, hey, I know you don't feel, because Larry wasn't feeling good. I said, Larry, I know you don't feel good, but we have to take you to Birmingham. You have got to get in the car and you've got to ride with us or we're not going to be able to get this car. So I said, you got to get up early because we have to be there when they open. So he said, okay. So I got all the paperwork. I got power of attorney. I got the title to the car. I got where we bought the car. I got where we hired the lawyer. I got the letter where Toyota said the car's paid off just in case. Well, Tuesday morning, Shane goes, try to call the lot before we leave. Because we were going to leave about 8:30 because the lot opened at 9. Well, I call and it said that the customer service line opens at 8:15. So on the way to the lot, I call customer service. And when I tell you these jokers are straight up the rudest people I have ever talked to in my life. It is apparently, it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but apparently the customer service line is one of those businesses where it goes to another location for customer service because apparently this is a big company and they have different locations. So I'm not talking to the people at the car lot or the repossession lot. I'm talking to somebody in another state that ain't got a clue what's going on. So I called and I told him the situation. Well, he says, ma'am, you cannot come here without an appointment. So I'm going online trying to make an appointment for Tuesday morning, which was Tuesday morning. I go online and it won't let me make an appointment because I stood them up on Monday. Because remember, I told you I made an appointment for Monday and then I was told the car wasn't there. So they won't let me, when I go online to set the appointment, it won't let me book an appointment because we had an appointment on Monday and we didn't show up. So then I have to call them back. And I said, listen, I can't book an appointment because it said I stood y'all up on Monday. I stood y'all up on Monday because they told me the car wasn't there. We're on our way to Birmingham with a man on hospice with oxygen, driving an hour and 15 minutes one way. Please let us come get this car. And the guy, I started off when he answered the phone, because every time I've called, the first question they ask is, what is the VIN number? So when I called and he answered the phone, I said, yes, my name is Judy Sneed. The VIN number is blah, blah. I don't need the VIN number. What are you calling for? I said, sir, well, every time I've called, the first question y'all asked was for the VIN number. So I was going to go ahead and give you the VIN number so you could pull up my dad's account. Just tell me why you're calling. And I had him on speakerphone and Shane's listening. We were so pissed off. And so I explained the story. And he goes, what's the VIN number? I wanted to cuss him out. Dude, I tried to give you the VIN number in the beginning and you wouldn't take it. But I was calm. Sir, the VIN number is this. Well, he set me up a physical appointment to be there Tuesday at 9:30. I told him my dad was in the car. We pull up to the lot. And Larry's in the back seat. So I told the lady, I said, I realize that even though I have power of attorney, I can't sign, even though the car's in my name. Here's the title where the car is in my name and Larry's name, but y'all won't let me sign. He's right here in the back seat, but I'm not getting him out of the car because he's in a wheelchair on oxygen. So she comes out to the car. I have to physically give Larry his billfold so he can show them his driver's license. And then she proceeds to tell me and Shane that she was very sorry that this had happened to us. She was very nice. They were totally different from the customer service phone number that I was calling. They were so nice to all three of us. And she said, I'm bringing your car around, but please know that you have an anti-theft car. And because we repossessed the car and did not have the key, we could not open the trunk. So me and Shane were like, oh God, the trunk is damaged. And she went and got the car, and we were like, I said, Shane, we have just got to pray there is no damage on this car. And I said, what are we going to do? I had prepared Shane. Shane has a short temper. Before we left the house, I said, look at me. Look at me. At this point in our life, I have a short temper and you have a short temper over this situation. So before we just go over there and lose our crap and you get in a fist fight, Shane, I said, let's get our ducks in a row. If we go over there and they don't get the car, what is our plan B? So Shane and I came up with a plan B, and the plan B was we were going to call the police because I was sitting there with the title. I had the check where they paid off. I had the letter where it was paid off. So we decided not to lose our gasket, to call the police if they would not let us have the car. And I said, if the car is damaged, what are we going to do? What is our plan of action? And he goes, we're just going to leave the car there. I said, okay. I said, when we go here, we got to keep our crap straight, Shane. No one's getting in a fist fight. No one's cussing each other out. We are going to handle this professionally because we have our plan in place. You hear me? He's like, yes, because Shane would lose it. I said, this will reduce our blood pressure from getting up, from us looking like idiots, and it's going to keep us in line. We have our plan, and we're not going to stir from this plan. So we had our ducks. So when she was gone to get the car, I said, Shane, if this car is damaged, we're leaving it here, right? And he said, yes. I said, okay. So they pulled the car up, and they didn't even try to open the trunk. We were confused on what they were talking about. So the trunk was fine. The car had a scratch, and it's a deep scratch on the front panel of the car, on the passenger side, and then on the back. It was like something scraped it all the way down. And the lady, I said, okay, this scratch was not there. And she said, well, this is what we have to do. We have to file, because Toyota said, if there's any damage to the car, we are not held liable. The repossession company is held liable. I thought that was a crock of crap. But so when I asked the lady, I said, well, this scratch all the way down the car was not there. I said, what do we do? And she goes, well, you're going to have to file a claim. I said, what does that mean? She goes, well, the claim is with us, but then we have to hire an investigator to research if we did the scratch. Can you even imagine what we would have to go through? I looked at Shane. I said, could you give us a minute? I said, okay, what do you want to do? He said, well, looking at this damage, it's not like it's structural damage, like the car's been crashed or the whole paint is gone or they pried open the trunk. He said, let's just take the car and go. He's like, let's just drop it. He said, the car is drivable. We've been through heck with this. Let's just take it and go. So we walked back over there and we said, we're just not going to file a claim. We're going to take the car with us. So I got in the car and I left. And the car's sitting in our driveway. The car is paid off. I have the title. The car drove fine. The good thing is they had filled the tank up. I don't know. Maybe they repossessed it with it filled up. I don't know. But it was filled up and it drove fine. We got home. Poor Larry was not feeling well at all. Got him inside. And I looked at Shane. I said, do you realize I paid off this car, not this past February, but the February before last? I have been dealing with this almost a year and a half. And as I was sitting here thinking about everything, I was like, what have I learned? Like, being the best version of yourself is like there's a lesson to be learned in everything that you do. Even when it's something that's out of your control, that you literally have done nothing wrong. Like, even when I break it down and went, what could I have done differently? I have no clue. I broke this down to go, what could I have done differently? I literally have no clue what I could have done differently. I don't think there's anything that I did wrong. And I was trying to think last night. I said, Shane, what lesson were we supposed to learn from this? Like, why did we even go through this? Like, what, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So I'm like, what am I supposed to be learning? And all I kept thinking about was, what do I need to tell the backup dancers? Like, how can this situation help us? And I will tell you, this is what come to my mind. I'm such a crybaby. Scout's honor that I will not cry, because crying is going to ruin the makeup that I just did. So Scout's honor, I will handle this like a big girl. But I feel sorry for our senior citizens. All I kept thinking about was our poor seniors. Because last February, Larry was declining. Larry was passing out in public. Larry was laying on the couch every day crying. I couldn't handle it because I'm trying to do a job, deal with him declining. He's depressed. He's lost his driver's license. He's losing his vision. He can't walk. He's dizzy. He's been thrown on hospice. Like, he was dealing with declining. He's depressed. He realizes that he can't do what he used to do. And now he's living with us. He feels like a burden. He's on the couch trying to deal with his emotions of my life has totally changed. I no longer can live by myself. And he's depressed and he's crying every single day. And I would walk in there and go, okay, let's talk. Let's break this down. What are you going on? And my life is over. I'm like, your life isn't freaking over. You live with Shane and I. You have a beautiful life. You know how many people would want to live at Steve's farmhouse? Look what we have outside. We have a side-by-side that we can take you. But I couldn't convince Larry that he had a beautiful life. All he could see was, I'm dying. It's negative. I can't do what I used to do. I'm on oxygen. I can't walk. I got to carry this concentrator. My life is terrible. He couldn't see anything good that was going on around him. And I'm a cheerleader. I'm trying to convince him, look at the good. Let's talk about the positive. Let's look at everything that's good going on in your life. And he couldn't do it. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with someone crying and depressed every single day. I don't know what to do. He's not happy here. He hates it. And I made the choice to put him in the nursing home. hardest decision, most depressing decision I've ever been through in my life. I feel so sorry for our seniors because when you start losing your ability to take care of yourself, your kids have to step up to the plate. Some kids can handle it, some kids can't. And then I sit here and I go to the nursing home to put him in the nursing home, and I'm like, okay, what do we, I've never done this. I don't know how it works. And they were like, well, how much money does he have? And I was like, I'll just tell y'all, he had like $40,000. And he had property and he had his retirement coming in. And they said, well, you have to pay out of pocket until you get his money down to $2,000. And I said, well, what happens if, I'm just curious, but what happens if someone has no money? They're like, they're approved immediately. What? So it was $10,600. No, he had more than 40,000. He had 40,000 in his savings and he had like 20,000 in his checking. And they said, if he had no money at all, he would be approved immediately for Medicaid and it would be covered at 100%. So I was having to write checks out of his account for $10,600 a month. And that didn't include the laundry. So the first month he was there, I wrote the check for $10,600. The second month he was there, I wrote the check for 10, and I'm like panicking, going, oh my God, his money's just like going away like that. Oh my God. He's crying every day in the nursing home. Every day he's crying. I'm like, well, he cried every day here. Like, I don't know what he would not get out of the bed. He don't get out of the bed here. So like, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't do all this. I got to take care of myself too. I'm declining. This is messing my health up when someone's on the couch crying every single day. So then the nursing home sits me down and says, I said, listen, he has a car payment. I said, he wanted a new car. And I said, I didn't want him to have one, but I said, when he bought the car, he lived with me, but he wasn't like this bad off. And so I thought he worked his whole life. If he freaking wants a car and he can afford it, let him get one. So he had a car payment. And the nursing home people said, listen to me. You have to pay off his car before his money runs out. Because Medicaid lets a patient have one vehicle. If it ain't paid off, you and Shane are going to have to pay the payment. So you need to go pay his car off. So I was like, oh, crap. And they were like, and if you haven't set up his funeral yet, you need to go pay for his funeral because they won't take the money back. If you do his funeral and pay off his car, Medicaid won't take the money back. So what do? I'm off going to have to clean his funeral. How depressing is that? And I can't remember what it cost, but it was something ridiculous for a funeral. And his money's just going out the door. So then I paid his car off. And then he had 1 month left of the nursing home and he was down to nothing. So the third month he was there, stroked the last $10,000 check. And so at this point, I'm thinking Medicaid's going to take over because now he has no money. If you have no money, you're good. If you have no money, no property, anything, you're good. But it has to be out of your name in Alabama for 5 years. So if you have property in your name and you sell it or give it to your children, you can't. It has to be out of your name for 5 years in the state of Alabama. And it's time to get approved for Medicaid because he has no money. I sit in the office, and I would say 7, 8 years ago, the property that Larry lives on is my grandparents'. Larry's my stepdad. I have a bug flying around. So the property is my grandparents'. So Larry wanted to make sure that the property went to me and my brothers. So when he first was, the doctor said Larry could no longer live by himself. That was like 7 or 8 years ago. So we went to a lawyer. We hired a lawyer to deed the land over to me and my brothers. And I also became power of attorney at that point because Larry was starting to decline mentally. And Larry didn't know how to take care of his bills. So that was 7 or 8 years ago. Well, stupid me. I didn't really look at the paperwork to understand. The lawyer put the property and me and my 2 brothers and Larry's name. So when it came to get him approved for Medicaid, Medicaid would not approve him until we sold his property. And Larry got a third of the property, a fourth, because there's 4 of us. He got a fourth of the property. So we were going to have to stroke a check to Medicaid for a fourth of the property in order to get him approved for Medicaid. I called the lawyer. I was like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? So, needless to say, Larry could not get approved for Medicaid, which means we would have had to pay $10,600 every single month. Well, Shane and I can't afford that. So I had to go get Larry and bring him home. But can I tell you something? That was the best decision ever. I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because when Larry came home after being in the nursing home for 3 months, that man has never cried since. He realized how great his life was with Shane and I. He realized how good the food was, how wonderful his bed was, how wonderful it was to live at Sneed's farmhouse. He began to find gratitude. And unfortunately, it took him going to the nursing home for 3 months for him to realize what a great life he had with Shane and I. No matter how many times I tried to tell him, your life is fantastic here. Shane and I are not leaving you. I have your back. There's nothing to be sad over. I know it's depressing that you don't drive anymore, but guess what? You can get chauffeured everywhere. You go with me everywhere. I drive anyway. You never drive. There's nothing different. But I couldn't convince him, no matter what I said, I could not convince him that his life was not over. It took going to a nursing home for 3 months for him to realize that he had the best life with Shane and I. We loved him with all of our heart. Now, the lesson that I learned, and I was talking to Shane about this last night, majority of the people that follow me, because it tells me on YouTube, are 65 and older. If you don't listen to anything else I say, listen to this. You need to hire a lawyer and get your ducks in a row. You do. You and your spouse need to sit down and decide what happens if something happens to me. What would you want me to do? What, like, all those hard topics that are brought up uh, about life and about declining. It is depressing. It's depressing for me to watch. But what are you going to do? If you don't want or you don't have kids to take care of you, where are you going? What are you doing? I will tell you that you're better off with nothing from my experience. I sat here and I told Shane, I said, you know what makes me mad about our world is because Larry had money in the bank and he had to pay $10,600 for the nursing home. He was not treated any differently from someone that had zero money. Like it's not like Larry got better food or better care or a nice I can't tell, a private room because he was paying $10,600 a month for his rent. It's not like, he's paying $10,600. He can get his private room. No, that was not for a private room. So I don't know if that made sense. That may have came across as, don't take me wrong, but I sat here last night to Shane and I was bawling my eyes out thinking about the Toyota deal. And I was like, what are we learning? Like, what are we supposed to learn? And I've sat here and watched all this happen with Larry, and it's so confusing to me. And I will tell you, when we go vote, you take certain things that are private to you, like, okay, like, I'm going through this, so I want to vote for someone who does this or whatever. I feel sorry for our seniors. And I'll just tell you this. I told Shane, I said, you know what's sad is even with Larry on hospice, they're like, okay, when we first got on hospice, it was like, okay, he qualifies, he can get Meals on Wheels. We can get someone to come help you clean his room. We can get a sitter to come in for so many hours. It's all covered from the state. We can get these services for you. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God I can get some help. Yes. I have a phone call. I have interviews. Guess what? We can't get any of those services because Larry makes too much money. It's like, God bless. I'm like, seriously? Do you know how much a caregiver is? It's $30 an hour. And you're telling me that Larry makes too much money to get Meals on Wheels or someone to help me. Well, guess what? Judy would have to quit her job basically to take care of him. But you're telling me that he makes too much money. Well, what happens to Judy? What happens to Shane? It's like our system is so janked up. So I am here to tell you that you need to get your ducks in a row. I am only speaking for myself. But I have told Shane, I said, you know what? When I start getting older, you know how, like, usually, like, when you pass away, you leave money for your children or whatever. I told Shane, I said, through this process, I have learned that if you want to leave your children or your family or something with an inheritance, you better do it before it gets too late. Because once you start getting older and declining, your kids are never going to see your inheritance. Do you know they're not going to see their inheritance? You have to do it 5 years before you go, okay, like in 5 years, I'm probably going to a nursing home. I better give everything I want to give to my kids before I go to the nursing home, because if I go to the nursing home with this, they're getting everything. But if I go broke as a joke, they'll approve everything. What's sad to me is Medicaid takes your life insurance. There's certain life insurances. If and don't quote me on this. I think that this is what they said. If you have a life insurance that gains dividends, Medicaid takes it. So if you haven't paid for your funeral yet, guess what? You have no money. It's not like you go, oh, well, I've got this $17,000 over here for life insurance. It'll pay for my funeral. No, it won't. No, it won't. Nope. Mm-mm. If you check with the lawyer and say, when the time comes, even me, I'm 55 years old, 54. I'm 54 years old. Does my life insurance cover my funeral when I die if I have to go to a nursing home? Those are questions that you need to ask a lawyer. If the answer is no, then you better go to plan B, unless you're going to leave your family with burying you. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was like $16,000 for Larry's funeral, and I got the basics. I didn't get I literally got the basics. Now, I did have I had a tractor put on his casket, a John Deere tractor, and that was like $250. That's the only thing. And I made sure that I did not get a casket that leaked. I got basics. I didn't even get a service at the graveside. I just feel like I went through this for myself to learn a lesson and for me to talk to you guys about it. Because, death is not something that we like to talk about, but it is reality. At the end of the day, we're all going to die. And we all have to have our ducks in a row. And, I was looking for Vanson a cup. I bought him a cup for his theater thing. I always take a present or something. So I bought him this little cup from this like novelty store, and they had this book section. And this book section said, what mom's dead, now what? Or dad's dead, now what? And I opened that book. I was like, what the crap is this? And it was like the most organized book I've ever seen. It says, if I die, this is my life insurance. This is my passwords. This is like, it had everything in it that you would need to know about if someone dies. And I will tell you, when Larry first moved in, I didn't know any of his stuff. I was like, okay, well, what do I have to pay? like, what do I need to do for you? Like, what bills do you owe? Like, where's your life insurance? Who's your beneficiary? I didn't know. I mean, we'd never talked about it. But those are things you need to talk about. It needs to be written down. Your passwords need to be written down. What you owe needs to be written down. All those things are important. And I will tell you this too. It's not just for seniors. I lost both my parents. Chris, you get here when you need to, okay? You just get here when you need to, Chris. I lost both my parents at a young age. They were not seniors. So it can happen to any of us. It's it's stuff that needs to be talked about because it's reality. Even though you might be in your 50s or 40s and you're like, "Well, I'm not gonna die until I'm 80." Well, how do you know? You know? I mean, these are things that you need to talk about. It's a hard conversation to have, but it's reality. You need to know what rights what you as a senior have for the state that you live in. What are your rights? If you're banning on your funeral to be paid by your life insurance, you need to talk to a lawyer and find out if that's so. If you're wanting your children to have your property, is it in your kid's name? If not, that might be something you want to like go to a lawyer and deed your property over to your children now with your name not on it. It feels scary for a senior to do that. I've sat and watched Larry. I remember when we were sitting in the lawyer's office and Larry had just gotten diagnosed with dementia. I mean, like just diagnosed. And I was like, oh crap. Because when I would try to call, let's just say about his power bill, they wouldn't talk to me because I wasn't power of attorney and I wasn't on his power bill. And he was living with me. And I was like, he don't know. He can't even hear on the daggum phone. He can't call about his power bill. He can't call about his medical bills. He don't understand. And if I wasn't power of attorney, but I remember 8 years ago sitting in that lawyer's office and I said, Larry, I had talked to him before going to the lawyer's office. I said, Larry, I'm going to have to get power of attorney over you because I can't handle like your power bill. They won't talk to me. And he said, okay. He was scared to death to put me power of attorney because he didn't know what was going to happen because he no longer could think for himself. It was, and I remember me and my brother and Larry were sitting in the lawyer's office. And the lawyer says, Larry, do you understand what power of attorney is? Not making sure he understands. And you know what he said? He said, I don't want Judy to be power of attorney until I can't make decisions for myself anymore. And I sat across the table. I literally was like, oh, Jesus. And what he meant was if he was on a respirator or something like that. I could see the fear in his face about me coming power of attorney. And the lawyer looked at me and I looked at her and I was like, what do I do? I said, I can't handle any of his bills if I'm not power of attorney. Well, I mean, what do you do? If you wait until it's too late, if you see signs of dementia, you better go get power of attorney of your spouse or your mom or dad. You better go do it now before the diagnosis really hits and then you can't do anything about it. Or you better call a lawyer and ask them because once they get that diagnosis, dementia, you can't get power of attorney. Larry had to have a full understanding in that room about power of attorney. So the lawyer said, when Larry said that, she said, I'm going to leave the room and let y'all talk. And I remember sitting at the table and I said, Larry, I can only imagine how you feel right now. That must have been one of the scariest times of Larry's life to go, I'm fixing to sign everything over to Judy. And I'm sure for you, if you have to make your kids power of attorney, it's scary because no longer, I mean, if I wanted to go sell Larry's car right now, I could go sell his car and he could not do anything about it when I'm power of attorney. I make the decisions for him. So for him, it's scary when the lawyer sits here and explains that to you as a senior citizen. You're like, I no longer can think for myself. It's scary. And I said, oh Lord, it's running late. Uh, I said, Larry, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't want me to be power of attorney, just understand that I can't take care of your stuff. So if you want me to help you, you're going to have to allow me to be power of attorney and you're going to have to trust me. And I understand it's scary. But I will never just totally force you to do anything without it being a good thought out decision. And I remember him having a very scared look on his face. And my heart was breaking. And he ended up, when the lawyer came back in, she said, did y'all have a family discussion? And Larry said, I'm going to allow Judy to be power of attorney. And I will tell you, I've never steered him in the wrong direction. I totally take care of him. And I would never take advantage of the fact that I'm power of attorney. Not all people are like me. Not all people are like me. But I will tell you this, when it comes to the time for you to go on Medicaid, your power of attorney has to account for every single dime that has been spent for the past 5 years. So no one can steal from you. I have to have a running record of where every dime goes of Larry's money. So if the time comes where he does have to go back to a nursing home, I have to prove it. It's a lot of pressure for a power of attorney. It's a lot. And do you know that, let's just say that you give your grandchild $2,000 for graduation, okay? And then within 5 years, you go to a nursing home. That money has to be paid back to Medicaid. It has to be proven. Over certain amounts of money has to be proven where it's gone to. Or you have to pay it back to Medicaid, or they won't approve you for the nursing home. Now, that is for the state of Alabama. I'm speaking about what Larry and I have been through. I don't know if laws are different in your state. So please know that. My recommendation to you is to call a lawyer and get your ducks in a row. It's never too soon to do things like that. It's not just for people in their 70s or 80s. It's for people in their 50s. It's for people in their 40s. Death happens to the best of us. So I hope that you learn from this lesson as well. Today you have choices. Sitting it out is ignoring reality. Death is reality. We're all going to die. Sitting it out is going, I'll let my kids worry about it. I care less. I can't afford my funeral. Let my kids worry about it. I freaking raised them. You know, that's sitting it out. Dancing is being the best version of yourself, is taking care of your affairs. this is hard. This is a hard topic to talk about. What's right for me may not be right for you, but I want you to think. I want you to go on Amazon and buy you a book that says, She's Dead, Mom's Dead, Dad's Dead. What do I do now? Because we all need to document our passwords, so forth, what we owe, where to go for life insurance, so forth. I want you to be responsible. That is dancing. Dancing is being responsible for yourself. And your loved ones that are left behind will be grateful. And they'll follow in line, hopefully, because you're going to set an example. I love you guys. I know this was kind of a Debbie Downer day, but sometimes we have to talk about reality, and death is reality. I love you guys, and I thank you for watching my video that I posted on Tuesday of my son singing. I'm very proud mom, and you guys, I appreciate you watching and encouraging my son to be the best version of himself too, and to follow his dreams. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.